Okay. So hello everyone and welcome to our Therapist in Conversation solo interview. And I'm here today with Sue Winsbury, who is the Energy Queen. And her tagline on her website just caught me right in the heart. And I thought, ooh, that's so good, because it's so true. And it's just that, when it's so simple, isn't it, Sue, that it hits you right where it's supposed to. Now, I had to write it down because I've got a memory like a sieve at the moment. So your energy is your power. Mastering it is the key to your success. So I'm thinking that that's what you're all about, Sue.
I am all about energy. So, and energy on many different levels. So I'm passionate about our physical energy, our vibrational energy, our emotional energy, all parts of it.
Yeah, I think that people don't realise when we say energy, there are so many different levels, so many different parts of us that actually employ energy and have access to it. And most of us are just spattering it around and letting it leak about everywhere. And we're sort of like, oh, well, I don't know why I'm so tired. I don't know why it's not working for me. I just don't have the energy. But actually, we have an unlimited source of energy. And just getting people to understand that, I think, is the key, as you say, to the success of being able to actually rein that energy in and do things with it. So how did you start with this? Where did that idea come from?
It was, as with most of us, it's been an interesting journey. So I was really interested in energy as a teenager. I always knew that there was something more. I was very interested in spirituality, all that kind of thing. But back in the 80s, we only had the local library. And there wasn't an awful lot in there. And I didn't come from a spiritual family or anything. So I kind of had that innate interest, that knowledge, that knowing that there was so much more. But nowhere to go with it. So I just kind of did the usual teenage thing, went out and went to nightclubs and drank a lot and went and got a job and all of that. And then I kind of, after a career break having my children, there was a very random advertisement for a healing course locally at an agricultural college. It was one of those completely synchronicitous moments. So I went, I'll just see if this works. So I then sort of got back in touch with healing, became a hands-on therapist, learned coaching, more and more healing modalities. And it's evolved from there. But I think it sort of originated just from always knowing that there was more to us than this physical skin body bag that we're plonked into.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing my official training in shamanic practice and saying to my elder, how come I didn't do this years ago? He said, because you weren't ready yet. You just weren't ready yet. It would have just gone over your head, or you wouldn't have paid attention the way that you're paying attention now. And I think that that's true of everyone. Everyone thinks, particularly now, it should be done just like that. That, it should be at your fingertips, which for the most part it is. But do you find that a lot of people spend a lot of their energy looking in the wrong places?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look for a quick fix, like a speedy route, the fast track route to, I don't know, higher consciousness or spirituality or whatever you want to call it. But I think the most important thing is that we have to spend the time going within, and we have to be prepared to look at ourselves face on and do the inner work. And it's sometimes it can be really quick. Sometimes we have to dig a little bit deeper, and sometimes we have to, as human beings, we tend to put to one side probably the biggest issues and the deepest and the darkest, and kind of just don't need to look at that, or I'm not even going to see it. So it does take time, and there are some long ways and there are some quicker ways.
That isn't it funny how it always seems to happen at the most auspicious place and time that you have a shift, like in front of your mother-in-law or something like that. He's like, this was supposed to happen in your office. It's not supposed to happen in front of my mother-in-law, kind of thing. Yeah, it's. I think it comes down to expectations, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I had a really interesting realization, and it was literally about 2 weeks ago, and it was something about my behaviour, and it was so obvious, and I just had not seen it, and then I was like, oh my goodness, I've got this thought that's been running in the background, and that is leading to this behaviour, and I can see how that is really impacting all of my energetic frequency. And it was, once I saw it, it was so obvious, but it had just been hiding for a long time.
Yeah, I think people don't understand either that their thoughts are energy, and that energetic ricochet can go round and round and round. That it gets to the point where it's like if you're in a house or a relationship where people are always shouting, it tends to become that's the normal volume. So you don't notice it anymore. So these thoughts that can run around, these fractals of nastiness that can run around, and they're like little assassin ninjas. Sit there and just wait to kind of take their little samurai swords or their shurikens and go boom, just when you think that you're not really having anything, that everything's wonderful and calm and serene, and then this little thing goes, oi, I'm gonna burst your bubble right now, boom. But it's true, isn't it? That's when most people start to think, I'm never going to get rid of this. They use the never. They start to go into the negative. So when you're doing that, how do you bring someone from the negative into the positive? How are you training them to get the keys to unlock their energy master case?
So I tend to use a mixture of modalities. So depending on the issue, sometimes it will be straightforward coaching, just asking questions, but going down into what's behind that and what's behind that and what's behind that. So rather than taking something at face value, just digging really deep. Or I use various different energy techniques, because no amount of coaching is going to help someone understand or connect with the fact that this belief that's running their entire life is something that they picked up when they were in the womb. If coaching's never going to get there. And we do. I find so much of the work that I do with clients kind of comes back to experiences where in the womb, or their mother's experiences, or birth trauma, both experiences, beliefs. It's all gets totally set into our subconscious. And for me, using energy techniques is the way to get into that.
There's actual evidence now in quantum theory that some of what we're actually emitting energetically, particularly, and the way that we evolve genetically in some ways and behaviorally, can actually go back to our grandmothers. They can go back 2 generations, maybe even 3. And they're coming out with this because of the kind of cosmic track and trace situation of genetic memory, and of looking at how quantum theory works on the atomic level, on the nanoatomic level, even beyond that. So what we've been saying for years, they're catching up. Finally, where have you been? Come in. So, but I think that is something that will help, because now people are so involved in, there's no scientific background for that. But actually now there is. And more we're realizing that there is. And more people are understanding that can happen, but they still don't understand how to get to us. So who would be your perfect client? Or what would a client who is needing you but doesn't understand how to get to you, what are they doing? What's wrong with them? Not wrong with them, but what's going on in their lives?
So I have 2 streams of perfect clients. So on a physical level, I work with people who are approaching burnout or burnt out, recognizing that their not listening to their body. Their body's trying to give them some messages and they're ready to address it. And my other stream is working with conscious business owners, people who are, I call them spiritual and spirited, people who are ready to really look at themselves and use that to move their business forward, to grow the business. Because for me, your personal, your being, your energetic frequency has so much impact on your business, because they're intrinsically connected. Your business isn't just a thing that you do. It's not a thing that's there to serve you, or something that you can just demand and expect, and it's not just a money-making machine. It's a whole aspect of who you are. So my ideal client is someone who's ready to look deep within themselves, really ready to make changes, to embrace slightly different means and methods of doing things, and who wants to take themselves up to the next level through self-work, not through, dare I say it, boring blueprints.
This is the thing though, isn't it? It's the oh well, all I need to do is just like wind it up and watch it go, and it'll just go off and do its own thing. And yet what they don't understand is that when you put so much energy of yourself into something, it starts to become real. It starts to become something. And the Buddhist tenet of thoughts become things is absolutely true, because that's how we build our reality every day, the way that we see things, the way that we feel things. And tweaking that and understanding that it is possible to just take part of that and say, let's lift that out for a minute and then put this in and see what happens. Does that fit nicely for you? I'm always going into that suits you, sir, there. Sorry. So like, suits you, sir. Yeah. But yeah. And I think that what you're doing basically is something that is going to be needed, particularly now, because for how many months now, since March, we've been sitting, contemplating our navels. Some of us have been tearing our hair out because we're in situations where there's too much family, there's too many people in the room, and there's nowhere else to go. So what would you be able to say now to people who are, that's all sitting milling around in that maelstrom in the background, where they're just getting to the point of burnout, where they're just getting to the point and they don't even recognize it, because they're just waking up in the morning and going, oh, another day at home, another day in paradise, So what would you say to them to allow them to understand that there is a door?
Life doesn't have to be like this. First and foremost, life is what we create it, and whatever is presenting in your reality absolutely can be changed. And very often your body will give you physical signs that you are not in alignment with your soul, with what you're meant to be doing, whether that's in your business, in your marriage, in where you live. Your body will be telling you through various aches and pains, or maybe regular bouts of fatigue, or maybe having to go and sleep all day on a Saturday just to be able to function on a Monday, or all of those things where we hide, or living on sleeping tablets just to get through the week, or alcohol or cigarettes or numbing, all of these coping mechanisms, screening your phone calls because you haven't got the energy to talk to people. It's a whole different thing to screening your phone calls because you're being selective and having standards. But if you're screening because you just haven't got it in you, your body's giving you messages. And they're, most of the time, the people that are likely to burn out are very high A type people. So they're people pleasers. They don't want to let anyone down. They want to achieve. Their idea of a normal day is full on. The rest of us kind of go, ooh, how do you do all of that? They're highly sensitive, but because of this desire to achieve and not let anyone down or themselves, and they have a very high expectation of themselves, they will not listen to the body.
And traditionally, that description would have been used purely for women, but actually it's men too. And men are starting to get to know that they are not necessarily to be expected to hold on to everything and to be the one who's strong. And it's particularly hard for men because of this socialization, cultural pastiche of what a man should be is drummed into them from goodness knows when. Hunter-gatherer, yes, definitely, we understand it goes that far back. But we have such a way of balancing things out and harmonizing things out now that a lot of men are getting trapped in a corner. They've kind of painted themselves into a corner. And women too, it does happen because they're the ones who have to deal with the kids, they're the ones who have to do this. And yet, in these few months, we've had the opportunity for a paradigm shift. And just that opportunity is a stressor in itself.
Yeah.
And mainly because people don't know. I mean, if you take a usual nuclear style family, as they would pronounce it in the 60s, it would be man goes out to work, 9 to 5, comes back in, all the children are bright, beautiful and shiny and ready to pop off to bed, and mother's sitting there with her hair done and her lipstick on going, hello dear, are you ready for your dinner? How far away are we from that? And the fact that we have kids that will stay up until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night on Game Boys and whatever, that you can't actually, you don't have enough eyes, enough arms, enough legs to keep up with what's going on just in the one space in the house. So I think that it's important for people to understand what energy is, what it does, and the fact that it's a real instrument of pleasure and pain.
And change.
And change. And that's the other thing, isn't it? We are so unhappy with the idea of change.
Yeah, but the other perspective is that change is exciting, and gosh, wouldn't life be so dull if nothing ever changed?
Oh, yeah, but also it happens all the time anyway. You can't stop things from changing. It's not like, I'm never going to change my shoes again. They wear out. The cells in your body are changing all the time. You're changing your mind all the time. Your mind is actually shape-shifting. And that's the thing. There's a kind of shape-shifting ability which you can actually teach people how to connect to.
Yeah.
So how can people reach you?
So my website is suewinsbury.com. Sue without an E, so SU Winsbury. I have a new website about to be launched. So my old one is a slight website of shame, but it's got all my details on there, and I can't wait for my new one to come live. Or you can find me obviously on LinkedIn or on Facebook. They are probably.
And you're Googleable, because I looked. You are definitely Googleable. There's a word for you. So when we're thinking about energy and balance, basically, I think is what we're looking for most of the time. Is there something that someone could do now to help balance themselves, just if there's a spike in their energy or a dip in their energy going on? What would you suggest, just as a simple thing to do first?
Breathe. Just breathe into your belly. When we're stressed, we tend to breathe in a very shallow way. We breathe through our chest. We don't properly oxygenate our bodies. Breathing is, we can all do it. You can do it in 1 minute. Just take really long, slow, deep breaths right down into your belly. Breathe out. That's, how easy is that?
That is, well, you have to do it anyway, so you might as well do it consciously.
Yeah.
So when you're down south, you're based down south, but of course, are you doing like Zoom consultations? Are you doing online consults?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I have worked online for 7 or 8 years. So energy work works online just as easily as it does face to face. There's no difference. I don't have to be with someone in the room for magic and transformation to happen in your energy. So yeah, and in fact, I've hardly gone back to any face-to-face work because it's working so well online. So whether it's, you know, physical energy, whether it's vibrational energy, it works in this online world.
Basically,
I can work with people anywhere.
Yeah, because this is energy. This thing that we're sitting in front of at the moment is energy, and it's just a different kind of energy, but it all works the same way in the end. It all has to come from the same source. So I'm going to thank you for this little insight into what's going on with you and how to get in touch with you. And if anybody would like to get in touch with Sue, she'll be happy to talk to you. If you'd like to collaborate with her on LinkedIn, she's on LinkedIn too. And this is Leslie Marsh for Therapist Conversation with Sue Winsbury saying thank you and goodbye.